Welcome to the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. I'm your host, Deanna Cooper Gillingham. For over 25 years, I've strived to use my nurse credentials to find work that fit my lifestyle, whether it was raising my 4 children and 3 fur babies, traveling the world, or moving to Mexico and living on the Caribbean Sea. Sometimes I succeeded, and sometimes I failed, but I always learned from the experience. Now, I want to help you by sharing what worked and what didn't work. There are so many opportunities out there for nurses today. The Stay at Home Nurse Podcast will inspire and equip you to have a nursing career that is meaningful and supports your lifestyle. Now let's get started. Welcome to today's episode of the Stay at Home Nurse Podcast. Today I'm going to share with you how I've landed some of my best nursing jobs. There's a saying in business, your network determines your net worth. And while in nursing it may not determine your net worth, it will often determine your ability to get the best nursing jobs. Looking back on my nursing career, I can see numerous times where my network, who I knew, helped me to land a great nursing job. When I graduated from nursing school, it was really hard to get a job in a hospital. Luckily, the nursing program I went to was a 2-step program. After the first 3 semesters, you could sit for your LPN license, which I did. This was a great move because I was able to get a job at a home hospice company and get some experience. But that experience alone didn't get my foot in the door. What did was my network. My next-door neighbor's mother was the house supervisor for the local hospital, and my aunt's best friend was the nurse that ran the emergency department. These 2 women let me use them as references on my application, and then they went a step further. They went to the director of nursing and let her know that they thought I would be a great fit for their organization. Without the support of these 2 well-respected women, I would have never got an interview. Once I got an interview, I was able to use the fact that I had taken some courses after securing my RN degree and had experience as an LPN to land the job. Out of over 100 applicants, only 3 graduate nurses were hired, and I was one of them. I used my network again a few years later when moving 9 hours away from home. My network was able to tell me about the local hospitals in the area and help me find one that fit where I wanted to go with my career. When I found myself moving again a few years later, I reached out to my network, and I was able to find somebody who had worked in 2 of the 3 hospitals in the town that I was moving to. She helped me to decide which hospital was the right fit for me and introduced me to someone who worked there and put in a good word for me. One of the really interesting jobs that I've had was that of an on-call hospice nurse. Basically, I didn't have a caseload. I worked from 5 p.m. until the next morning at 8 a.m. on call for any calls that came in. I would phone triage those that I could, and I would go and make house calls on those that needed them. This was a salary position, so basically, I made the same amount of money if I didn't work at all, or if I worked 50 hours in 1 week. And yep, it was my network that got me that job. One of the questions I'm asked most often is, how do you get into case management? Well, for me, once again, it was my network. This is a really interesting story. I had a friend who worked for an insurance company. She thought I would be a great fit for their case management department. So she snuck me the email address of the manager of that department. Not revealing my source, I sent her an email with my resume attached, letting her know I was interested in a position in her case management department. I didn't hear anything for over a week, so my friend snuck me her phone number, and I gave her a call. We talked for over an hour on that call, and by the end of the call, she was offering me a position and wanted me to come in and meet the director of the department. I could have never done that without the help of my network. A few years later, I determined that working from home was the next career move for me, so I reached out to a case manager that I knew that was working from home and asked her how she liked her job. She loved it. I asked her if there were any openings, and she said she thought there were, so she reached out to her manager and found out there was an opening coming up in the near future. Once again, I was able to get my resume to the hiring manager before the job listing was ever posted. I could have never done this without the help of my network. Even as an entrepreneur, my network connections have been invaluable. They've helped me find a business partner, find collaborators, find mentors, and find mastermind partners. All of this has helped my business grow tremendously. Now, there is something to be said about your network. Your network has to be filled with the right people. These should be hard workers that are dedicated to their employers. They should not be troublemakers. They should not be negative, and they should not be gossipers. Employers are very unlikely to want to hire more people like that, and if those people recommend you, they will assume that you're just like them. So that being said, think about the people who you hang out with at work. Are they the hard workers? Are they the troublemakers? Do they gossip? Are they always negative? Stop hanging out with these people. There's another popular quote in business. It's by Jim Rohn. He says, "You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with." So make sure you're hanging out with the right people, the people that are advancing their career, the people that are going in the direction that you want to go. These are the people you want to hang out with, and these are the people you want in your network. Now, your network alone will not get you the job, but it will get your foot in the door, and it will get you an instant reference. The great places to work are not looking for a warm body. They're looking for someone who fits their current team and will add to it, making it even better. The first place they look is for referrals from people on their team who they want more of. So let's look at some action steps you can take now. Make a list of the people who you went to school with and worked with in the past. Reconnect with them on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you live nearby, meet up with them for coffee. Even if you're not ready for a new position, keep in touch with them. You never know when you'll be able to help them or they'll be able to help you. One way to keep in touch is to share this podcast with them. I would love it if you would share it with somebody from your network. Let them know that there's somebody you would like to keep in touch with and that you're willing to help them in any way that you can. And that's a wrap on this episode on how I've used networking to get my best nursing jobs. I hope you'll join me next week, where I'll explain to you how I've gone from a bedside nurse to living on the beach in Mexico using my nursing credentials.